Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the sun scorched world of ancient Mali, where you're a trader trudging across the Sahara's endless dunes, chasing gold so pure it glitters like a fever dream. Picture it: the sand burns through your sandals, camels grumble behind you, and the horizon shimmers like a cruel mirage. You're hauling salt slabs, heavier than your regrets, hoping to swap them for gold in Timbuktu's chaotic markets. Spoiler: you probably won't survive the first sandstorm without a serious attitude adjustment. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and local time. I'm curious where you're drifting off from tonight. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're not just any wanderer, you're part of a caravan, a snaking line of traders stretching across the 13th century Sahara, where the Mali Empire's wealth flows like the Niger River. The air smells of dust and camel sweat, and your throat's so dry it feels like you swallowed a handful of sand. Your goal? Reach Timbuktu, the trade hub where gold, salt, and even ideas get swapped faster than gossip. The Mali Empire, at its peak from the 1200s to 1400s, was no backwater. It was a powerhouse, controlling gold mines that made European kings jealous. Mansa Musa, the empire's most famous ruler, was so rich he accidentally crashed Egypt's economy by overspending on his 1324 pilgrimage to Mecca. True story, the guy was basically a walking gold vault. But let's zoom in on you, our weary trader. Your caravan's a lifeline, 50 camels strong, each loaded with salt from northern mines or cloth from distant markets. You're not alone. Dozens of others shuffle alongside, their faces wrapped in indigo turbans to block the relentless sun. The Sahara's no joke. Temperatures hit 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and water's scarcer than a good Wi Fi signal in the desert. You carry a goatskin flask, sipping sparingly because the next oasis might be days away. A quirky tidbit: some traders swore by chewing dried cola nuts to stay alert, like the medieval equivalent of chugging Red Bull. Historians still argue whether these nuts were a trade good themselves or just a survival hack for sleepless nights under the stars. You're not just here for the gold, though it's the shiny bait that keeps you moving. Gold's been Mali's lifeblood since forever, mined from southern fields and carried north to Timbuktu, where it's weighed, bartered, and turned into everything from royal crowns to delicate jewelry. But the real magic? How they weighed it. Forget fancy scales or coins. Mali traders use something way humbler: beans. Yeah, beans, like the ones you'd toss in a soup. Specifically, they use the seeds of the carob tree, or sometimes cowpea beans, each one so consistent in weight it could measure gold dust down to the grain. It's weirdly satisfying, like using Lego bricks to build a bank vault. You're picturing it now, right? A trader, squinting in the market, dropping tiny beans onto a balance scale while gold dust sparkles in a clay bowl. Your caravan's pace is glacial, maybe 15 miles a day if the camels don't stage a sit-down strike. You're following ancient routes, worn into the sand by centuries of footsteps. The Sahara's not just a backdrop, it's a character, whispering threats with every gust. Sandstorms can bury your path in minutes, and mirages taunt you with fake lakes that vanish when you get close. You joke to your buddy, "If I see one more shimmering puddle, I'm diving in head first." He chuckles, but his eyes stay fixed on the horizon, scanning for trouble. Bandits lurk out there, and not the romantic swashbuckling kind, more like desperate guys with rusty blades who'd rob you blind for a single camel. As night falls, you camp under a sky so clear it feels like you could touch the Milky Way. The air's cooler now, but the sand's still warm, radiating heat like a giant heated blanket. You huddle by a small fire, sharing flatbread and dried dates with the others. Someone's humming a tune, maybe a griot's song about past traders who struck it rich. You're exhausted, but there's a spark in your chest. Tomorrow, you'll push closer to Timbuktu, where those beans and gold will make or break your fortune. For now, you lie back, the fans hum, blending with the desert's silence, and let the stars lull you into the next leg of this dusty dream. You're still trudging through the Sahara, the sand crunching underfoot like a gritty lullaby. Your caravan inching toward Timbuktu's promise of wealth. The sun's a relentless bully, baking your turban until it feels like a hot towel slapped on your head. Your camels plod along, their humps swaying like they're auditioning for a slow motion nature documentary. Last night's campfire stories about gold linger in your mind. Gold so pure it could make a king weep, or, in your case, maybe just buy a better pair of sandals. You're not dreaming of palaces yet, but the idea of swapping your salt slabs for something shiny keeps your feet moving. Gold's the heartbeat of the Mali Empire, and you're starting to get why it's such a big deal. By the 13th century, Mali controlled gold mines in places like Bambouk and Bure, pumping out nuggets and dust that fueled trade across continents. Fun fact, medieval Europe got half its gold from West Africa, funneled through Mali's markets. That's right. Your dusty caravan is part of a supply chain propping up castles in France. But gold's not just money here, it's power, status, even a bit of magic. Griots, those poet historians, sing about kings draping themselves in gold to dazzle visitors like a medieval flex that screams, "I'm richer than your wildest dreams." Now here's where it gets quirky. Some traders believed gold had a spirit, almost like it chose its owner. They'd whisper blessings over nuggets, thinking it'd keep the metal happy and prevent bad luck. You chuckle, imagining yourself sweet talking a lump of gold like it's a picky customer. Come on, Shiny, don't curse my caravan. Historians still argue whether these rituals were spiritual or just clever marketing to jack up prices. Either way, it added some serious mystique to every trade. You're picturing Timbuktu's markets now, where gold changes hands under striped awnings. But it's not all glamour. The city's a melting pot. Tuareg nomads, Arab merchants, even the occasional European straggler, all haggling in a dozen languages. You overhear deals for ivory, cola nuts, even ostrich feathers, but gold's the star. It's weighed in tiny amounts, sometimes just a pinch of dust, because a little goes a long way. A single ounce could buy you a camel or a month's worth of millet. You're carrying salt, though, which is gold's weirdly equal rival. In the desert, where salt preserves food and keeps you alive, it's as precious as any metal. You joke to a fellow trader, maybe we should start a salt fan club. Membership includes not dying of thirst. The obsession with gold shapes everything around you. Your caravan's leader, a grizzled guy with a beard like a bird's nest, checks the route obsessively, muttering about bandits who'd gut you for a single nugget. He's got a point. Gold's allure pulls in the desperate and the greedy. You've seen traders flash their wealth, wearing gold rings or woven gold threads, and you can't help but roll your eyes. Buddy, that's just a bandit magnet, you mutter, adjusting your own plain turban. The desert's a great equalizer. No matter how rich you are, you're still sweating buckets and dodging scorpions. As you walk, you notice the landscape shifting, less endless dunes, more scrubby patches of grass. You're nearing an oasis, a speck of green that feels like a hug from the universe. The camels perk up, sniffing water, and you allow yourself a tiny sip from your flask. You're starting to understand gold's pull, not just as cash, but as a story. Every grain carries a tale of miners digging in Mali's south, of traders like you risking it all, of kings who turned dust into empires. You wonder if your own story will be worth singing about, maybe by some griot centuries from now. For now, you're just focused on not tripping over a rock or losing your salt to a clumsy camel. The day drags on, and you're daydreaming about gold's shimmer when a trader nearby starts bragging about his last haul. Turned 2 salt slabs into a pouch of dust, he boasts, grinning like he invented fire. You nod politely but think, yeah, and I bet you spent it all on overpriced cola nuts. The caravan's rhythm, step, sway, grunt, lulls you back into focus. Gold's why you're here, but it's the journey, the heat, the sheer stubbornness of crossing this desert that's carving itself into your bones. You're not a king, not even close, but every step feels like you're chasing something bigger than yourself. You're still plodding through the Sahara, the sand now a familiar crunch under your aching feet. Your caravan a dusty ribbon stretching toward Timbuktu. The sun's high, turning your turban into a portable sauna, and you're fantasizing about shade, water, maybe a nap that lasts a week. Those gold dreams from yesterday? Still there, but now you're fixated on something weirder. Beans. Not for eating, mind you, but for weighing that precious gold dust you're hoping to score. You're starting to get why these tiny seeds are the unsung heroes of Mali's trade game. Let's set the scene. You're in Timbuktu's market soon, you hope, surrounded by merchants squinting at balanced scales, each one meticulously dropping beans to measure gold. This isn't some random quirk. By the 13th century, Mali traders had turned bean weighing into a science. The carob bean, small and freakishly consistent in weight, was the go-to. Each bean tipped the scale at roughly 0.2 grams, perfect for measuring gold dust in tiny increments. This was no small deal. The Malay Empire's economy leaned on gold exports, and accurate weights kept trade fair. Imagine trying to haggle when everyone's using their own wonky scales. Chaos. Beans were the great equalizer, trusted from Timbuktu to Cairo. Now here's the quirky bit. Some traders swore by lucky beans, ones they'd kept for years, claiming they brought better deals. You overhear a guy bragging about his special carob seed, polished smooth from years of handling, like it's a rabbit's foot. You smirk, muttering, "Mate, it's a bean, not a genie." But you get the appeal. Out here, where a bad trade could ruin you, a little superstition feels like insurance. Historians still argue whether these lucky beans were just trader quirks or part of a bigger cultural ritual tied to trust in the market. You're picturing it now, a merchant's stall, clay bowls brimming with gold dust, and you carefully placing beans on a bronze scale. The process is hypnotic. Drop a bean, watch the scale tip, add another, repeat. It's like a medieval ASMR session, each clink of the scale soothing your frazzled nerves. You joke to a nearby trader, "If this doesn't work out, I'm opening a bean counting academy." He snorts, but you're half serious. The precision is oddly satisfying, like solving a puzzle while everyone's shouting around you. But it's not all calm vibes. The market's a pressure cooker. You've got salt to trade, heavy slabs that make your camels groan, and you need to get the gold weight right. Mess up, and you're walking home with nothing but sunburn and regrets. The beans help, but they're not foolproof. A gust of wind, a shaky hand, or a sneaky merchant swapping in lighter seeds could throw everything off. You've heard stories of traders getting duped, left with half the gold they thought they'd earned. You're not about that life. You double check every bean, squinting like you're defusing a bomb. As you march on, the caravan's rhythm, steps, sway, grunt, blends with your thoughts about beans and gold. You're starting to see the genius of it. Coins? Too fancy, too easy to fake. Scales and beans? Simple, reliable, and weirdly elegant. You wonder how they figured it out, these traders who turned seeds into a currency of trust. Maybe it was trial and error, or maybe some genius looked at a bean and thought, "Yep, this is my scale now." You chuckle, imagining pitching that idea today. Invest in my startup, Bean Scales, the future of finance. The oasis from yesterday is a memory now, replaced by more dunes and the occasional thorny shrub. Your flask's lighter, and your rationing sips like a miser. The caravan leader's up ahead, pointing at a distant ridge, promising a rest stop soon. You're holding on to that thought, along with the image of those beans clinking onto scales. It's not just about the gold anymore, it's the process, the ritual, the strange beauty of turning something as humble as a seed into the key to an empire's wealth. You're not there yet, but every step's bringing you closer to Timbuktu, where those beans will either make you or break you. You're still trekking through the Sahara's relentless dunes, your sandals sinking into sand that's hotter than a skillet. The caravan sways ahead, camels grumbling like they're plotting a mutiny, and you're dreaming of Timbuktu's markets, where those beans you're obsessed with will finally meet gold. The air's thick with dust, and your turban's doing a lousy job of keeping it out of your nose. You're not just a trader anymore, you're a survivor, one step away from either fortune or a very sandy nap. Timbuktu's calling you now, and you can almost smell it, a mix of spices, sweat, and the faint metallic tang of gold. By the 13th century, Timbuktu wasn't just a dot on the map, it was the beating heart of Mali's trade empire. This city, perched on the Niger River's edge, pulled in merchants from as far as Morocco and Egypt, all chasing gold, salt, and the buzz of a deal. Fun fact, Timbuktu's wealth bankrolled its famous mosques and schools, making it a scholarly hub where books were traded like treasure. You're picturing it, dusty streets packed with stalls, camels parked like pickup trucks, and traders shouting in Songhai, Arabic, and who knows what else. Here's the quirky twist. Some stalls sold market charms, little pouches of herbs or carved stones, said to guarantee a good trade. You spot a trader slipping one into his robe, and you roll your eyes. "Really, buddy? Your lucky rock's gonna outsmart a bad deal?" You mutter. But you get it. Out here, where one trade can make or break you, a charm's as good as a pep talk. Historians still argue whether these charms were just scams or tied to deeper spiritual beliefs about fortune in Mali's markets. You're walking Timbuktu's streets now, in your mind at least, weaving through the crowd. The market's a sensory overload, bright indigo cloth flapping in the breeze, the clink of beans on scales, the sizzle of grilled millet cakes from a nearby stall. You're carrying your salt slabs, heavy as your student loan debt, hoping to swap them for gold dust. You approach a merchant, his table littered with clay bowls and a bronze scale that's seen better days. He squints at your salt, then at you, like you're trying to sell him a used camel. You're nervous, haggling's not your strong suit, and you've heard stories of traders walking away with half what they deserved. The deal begins. You set your salt down, and he scoops a pinch of gold dust onto the scale. Out come the carob beans, those tiny heroes from your daydreams, each one dropped with a soft tap. You're mesmerized, counting every bean like it's your life savings. The merchant's fast, too fast, and you wonder if he's slipping in a dud bean. You joke, "Slow down, friend. I'm not buying your whole stall." He smirks, but you're watching like a hawk. The scale balances. Your salt's worth a small pouch of gold. Not bad for a first try, but you're already planning to haggle harder next time. As you wander deeper into the market, you notice the rhythm of Timbuktu. It's chaotic but organized, like a dance everyone knows but you. Traders barter for ivory, cola nuts, even manuscripts bound in leather. You pass a griot, strumming a kora and singing about a legendary trader who swapped one salt slab for a kingdom's worth of gold. You chuckle, thinking, yeah, and I'm the king of the Sahara. But the music's soothing, blending with the market's hum, and you feel a strange calm, like you belong here. The sun's dipping now, painting the mud brick mosques golden. You're still clutching your gold pouch, small but heavy with possibility. Timbuktu's not just a market, it's a story factory, every deal adding to Mali's legend. You're part of it, even if your role's just sweaty guy with salt. The caravan's waiting outside the city, ready to move again, but for now you linger, soaking in the chaos. Those beans, that scale, this city, they're weaving you into something bigger, and you're starting to think maybe you'll survive this desert after all. You're back in the Sahara's grip, Timbuktu's market buzz of vivid memory, as your caravan lumbers on. The sands still scorching, your sandals barely holding together, and the camels are giving you side eye like they're done with this whole adventure. You're clutching that small pouch of gold dust from your market deal, feeling like a minor league rock star. But now it's time to face the real challenge, getting this caravan to the next stop without losing your mind or your cargo. The desert's not forgiving, and you're about to learn why logistics are the unsung backbone of Mali's trade empire. Running a camel caravan in the 13th century Mali Empire was no joke. These weren't just random treks, they were precision operations, moving tons of goods, salt, gold, cloth, across hundreds of miles. A single caravan could have 100 camels, each carrying up to 400 pounds, and you're helping manage this dusty freight train. The Mali Empire's wealth depended on these routes, linking gold mines in the south to salt mines in the north, with Timbuktu as the glittering middleman. One wrong turn, and you're not just lost, you're broke, or worse, buzzard food. Here's the quirky bit. Some camel drivers swore by singing to their animals, claiming it kept them calm during sandstorms. You try it, humming a tune about Timbuktu's markets, but your lead camel just flicks its tail like you're embarrassing yourself. You mutter, "Fine, critic. You try leading this parade." Historians still argue whether these songs were practical or just a way to pass the endless hours. Either way, you're tempted to keep singing, if only to drown out the desert's eerie silence. You're not the boss here. That's the caravan leader, a grizzled guy named Amadou, whose beard looks like it's seen more sandstorms than you've seen sunrises. He's barking orders, pointing at a faint ridge where you'll camp tonight. Your job? Keep your camels in line, make sure their loads don't shift, and check the water supply. You're hauling goatskin flasks, but they're dangerously low, and the next oasis is 2 days away. You ration sips like you're guarding gold dust, remembering how those carob beans balanced your trade in Timbuktu. Beans for gold, water for life, you joke to a fellow trader who nods grimly. He's not in the mood for your desert stand up. The camels are your lifeline, but they're also a pain. Each one's got a personality. There's Grumpy, who spits if you get too close, and Lazy, who lags like he's on a coffee break. You're learning to read their moods, nudging them with a stick when they stall. The loads are tricky too. Salt slabs, stacked like giant dominoes, can slide off if the ropes loosen. You're constantly checking knots, your hands raw from the coarse fibers. A trader nearby grumbles about his camel eating half his cola nut stash, and you laugh. At least it's got more energy than us now. The sun's relentless, but you're adapting. Your turban's wrapped tighter, your eyes scanning for landmarks, a twisted acacia tree, a rock shaped like a sleeping dog. Amadou swears by these, claiming they're better than any map. You're skeptical, but follow his lead, remembering Timbuktu's chaos and how you survived it. The market's beans and scales feel like a dream now, replaced by the grind of keeping this caravan moving. You're not just a trader, you're a cog in a machine that's been running for centuries, carrying Mali's wealth across the sands. As dusk falls, you reach the ridge. The air cools, and you help unload the camels, stacking salt slabs under a makeshift awning. Around the fire, traders share millet porridge and stories of past routes. One guy claims he saw a desert fox steal a whole loaf of bread, and you quip, hope it left a bean as payment. The laughter's brief but warm, a reminder you're not alone. You lie back, the sand still radiating heat, and stare at the stars. The caravan's your world now. Camels, salt, and the faint jingle of your gold pouch, tying you to Timbuktu's markets and the endless road ahead. You're still slogging through the Sahara, the sand now a relentless drumbeat under your worn-out sandals. The caravan's a dusty lifeline, camels swaying like they're in a trance, and your gold pouch jingles faintly, a reminder of Timbuktu's market triumph. The sun's a tyrant, turning your turban into a sweat-soaked rag, but you're back in trading mode, ready to swap your salt for more gold. You're headed to a smaller market town now, where the real action is bartering salt slabs for gold dust, and those carob beans you're weirdly fond of will make another appearance. Salt was gold's equal in the Mali Empire, a 13th century truth that's hard to wrap your head around. In the Sahara, where food spoils fast and dehydration's a constant threat, salt wasn't just seasoning, it was survival. Mines in places like Tigeza produced massive slabs, some weighing 200 pounds, hauled by camels to markets like Timbuktu or smaller outposts. Historical records say a pound of salt could fetch as much as a pound of gold in gold-scarce regions, a straight-up one-to-one deal. That's why your caravan's loaded with these slabs, each one a fortune waiting to be traded. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some traders marked their salt slabs with family symbols, like medieval branding. You notice one slab with a carved crescent moon and ask the owner about it. He grins, saying it's his clan's mark, so the salt knows it's home. You quip, "What, does it send postcards too?" But you're secretly charmed by the idea. Historians still argue whether these marks were practical for tracking ownership or held spiritual meaning, like a blessing for safe trades. You're at the market now, a dusty square less chaotic than Timbuktu, but still alive with haggling. Stalls line the edges, shaded by palm fronds, and the air smells of roasted peanuts and camel dung. You drag your salt slab to a merchant's table, his scale already out, beans at the ready. He's a wiry guy with a scar across his cheek, and you're instantly on guard. Scars scream, "I've seen things," and not all of them good. You set your slab down, and he inspects it, tapping it like he's testing a melon. "Good quality," he grunts, then scoops gold dust onto the scale. The bean ritual begins, and you're hooked again. Tap, tap. Each carob bean lands with a soft clink, the scale tipping slowly. You're counting in your head, double checking his math, because you've heard of traders slipping in lighter beans to cheat. You joke, "Hope those beans went away in camp," and he chuckles, but you're watching his hands like a hawk. The deal's tense. Your slab's worth a decent pile of gold, but he's pushing for a discount, claiming your salt's too crumbly. You fire back, "Crumbly? That's premium texture," and he laughs, easing the tension. The market's a swirl around you. Nearby, a woman trades cola nuts for cloth, her voice sharp as she haggles. Another trader's bartering ostrich feathers, which you didn't even know were a thing. You're learning fast. Salt's your ticket, but it's the dance of the deal that matters. You seal the trade, your slab for a pouch of gold dust, slightly bigger than Timbuktu's haul. You feel a rush, like you've cracked a code, those beans your key to the game. As you leave the stall, you pass a griot strumming ngoni, singing about a trader who swapped salt for a palace. You mutter, "Yeah, and I'm swapping mine for a nap." The caravan's gearing up to move again, and you check your camels, ensuring the new gold's secure. The desert looms, but you're riding high, salt and beans making you feel like a player in Mali's grand story. You're not just surviving now, you're thriving, one dusty deal at a time, with the Sahara's hum as your soundtrack. You're back on the Sahara's endless treadmill, sand grinding under your feet, the caravan stretching like a weary snake toward the next outpost. Your gold pouch, heavier after that salt for gold swap, jingles with every step, a tiny anthem of your market win. The sun's still a bully, scorching your turban, and your camels are plodding along, probably dreaming of greener pastures. Timbuktu's market and that smaller trading post feel like distant fever dreams now, but you're starting to notice something new. The griots, those musical storytellers, weaving the caravan's deals into songs that echo across the dunes. Griots were the Malay Empire's living archives, especially in the 13th and 14th centuries, when oral tradition was king. These poet musicians didn't just sing for fun, they recorded history, trade deals, and family lineages, passing them down through generations. In a world without widespread writing, griots were the internet, the library, and the evening news rolled into one. A single griot could recite a king's entire reign or the details of a salt gold trade from 50 years ago, all in rhyming verse. You're starting to see why they were revered, paid in gold or cola nuts to immortalize a trader's name. Here's the quirky bit. Some griots used secret rhythms, patterns only their apprentices could decode, to hide sensitive trade info, like which routes had the best deals or avoided bandits. You overhear your caravan's griot, a lanky guy named Sekou, tapping his kora with a sly grin, and you wonder if he's smuggling market tips in his melody. You quip, "What, is that song a treasure map?" He winks but keeps playing, leaving you half convinced he's got secrets. Historians still argue whether these rhythms were real codes or just griot showmanship to boost their mystique. You're trudging alongside Seiko now, his kora's twang cutting through the desert's hum. He's singing about a trader, maybe you, who swapped salt for gold under Timbuktu's mosques. The lyrics are vague but flattering, and you feel a flicker of pride, like you're part of Mali's legend. You picture him in Timbuktu, watching your bean weighing deal, turning it into a verse. With carob seeds, he weighed his fate, gold dust won by salt's great weight. You chuckle, muttering, "Hope you mention my epic haggling skills." Sekou smirks, strumming faster, and you swear he's mocking your dusty turban. His songs aren't just entertainment, they're glue, holding the caravan together. Around the fire at night, when the air cools and the stars burn bright, Sekou's voice soothes the group. Traders share millet bread, swap stories, and listen as he sings of past caravans, of Mansa Musa's gold-strewn pilgrimage, of markets where beans tipped scales. It's hypnotic, like the clink of those carob beans in Timbuktu, and you realize these songs are why you remember every detail of your trades: the dusty stalls, the merchant's scar, the scale's delicate sway. But griots do more than sing. They're advisors, mediators, even hype men. You see Sekou settle a spat between two traders arguing over a camel's load, his calm words laced with humor. "Save your fire for the bandits," he says, and they laugh, tension gone. You're impressed, thinking, maybe I should hire him to negotiate my next deal. His presence makes the desert feel less lonely. His kora, a thread tying you to Timbuktu, to the Mala Empire, to every trader who's walked this path. As the day drags on, the caravan nears a rocky outcrop, tonight's camp. You help unload, your hands sore from ropes, your gold pouch tucked safely away. Sekou's still playing, softer now, his song blending with the wind. You lie back, sand warm beneath you, and let his voice carry you. Those beans, that gold, your salt, they're all part of the story he's weaving, a story bigger than you, stretching across the Sahara's heart. You're not just a trader, you're a verse in Mali's endless song, and for now, that's enough. You're still weaving through the Sahara's dunes, sand clinging to your sandals like an overzealous pet. The caravan's a dusty lifeline, camels plodding with the enthusiasm of a Monday morning, and your gold pouch, heavier after each trade, jingles like a faint promise of better days. The griot Sekou's kora still hums in your memory, his songs tying you to Timbuktu's markets and those carob beans you're weirdly attached to. Now, as the sun bakes your turban into a soggy mess, you're fixating on those beans again, not just as weights, but as the delicate art that makes Mali's gold trade tick. Weighing gold in the 13th century Mali Empire was a craft, almost a ritual. Carob beans, each a perfect 0.2 grams, were the gold standard, pun intended, for measuring dust or nuggets in markets from Timbuktu to smaller outposts. These weren't tossed on scales willy-nilly. Traders trained for years to master the balance, reading the slightest tilt, like a poker player spotting a tell. A good weigher could make or break a deal, ensuring neither side got cheated. This precision fueled Mali's reputation as a trade powerhouse, where merchants from Morocco to Persia trusted the system enough to cross deserts for it. Here's the quirky twist. Some traders swore by calibrated beans, hand picked from specific trees, believing they were more accurate than standard ones. You spot a merchant in the caravan, an old guy with a squint, clutching a tiny leather pouch of his special beans like it's a family heirloom. You quip, "What? Are those beans certified by Mansa Musa himself?" He grumbles, "But you're curious." There's a charm to his obsession. Historians still argue whether these custom beans were a real edge or just trader superstition, a way to psych out competitors in the market's chaos. You're picturing yourself at a stall now, ready to weigh your latest gold haul. The scale's a simple bronze contraption, two pans dangling from a pivot, but it's your stage. You set a clay bowl of gold dust on one side, then start dropping beans on the other, each one landing with a soft tap that's weirdly soothing, like rain on a tent. You're focused, ignoring the market's din, shouting traders, bleating goats, the sizzle of grilled fish. The trick is rhythm, too fast, and you overshoot, too slow, and the merchant thinks you're stalling. You mutter, "This is my cardio for the day," and the trader across from you snorts, but you're locked in, counting beans like a monk chanting prayers. It's not just about accuracy, there's trust at stake. Everyone's watching. The merchant, his buddy, even a random kid munching cola nuts. A shaky hand or a miscount, and you're done. Reputation trashed, deals dried up. You've heard stories of traders banished for slipping in lighter beans, their names cursed in griot songs. You're careful, double checking each seed, feeling the weight of every stare. The scale balances, and you exhale. Your gold's legit, the deal's fair. You joke, "Guess I'm not fired yet," and the merchant nods, impressed but not admitting it. Mastering the scales takes more than practice. It's about reading people. You're learning to spot the shifty types, the ones who accidentally nudge the table or distract you with chatter. One guy tries singing a griot tune midway, and you shoot back, "Nice try, but my beans don't dance." It's a game, part math, part psychology, and you're getting good. Those beans aren't just weights, they're your badge, proof you belong in this dusty, cutthroat world. As the caravan trudges on, you practice in your head, replaying the clink of beans, the scales sway. The desert's brutal, but you're tougher, shaped by markets and deals. You glance at your gold pouch, earned through salt and skill, and feel a spark of pride. Seku's Kora hums faintly from the camp ahead, and you know he's probably singing about someone like you, a trader, a weigher, a keeper of Mali's golden pulse. The dunes stretch on, but you're ready for whatever's next, beans and all. You're still hauling through the Sahara, sand sneaking into every crease of your sandals, the caravan a dusty thread stitching the desert together. Your gold pouch clinks with each step, a reminder of your bean weighing hustle in that last market. The sun's a relentless taskmaster, turning your turban into a damp rag, and the camels plod like they're auditioning for the world's slowest parade. Timbuktu's markets and Seku's Kora songs feel like a lifetime ago, but now you're sinking into the grind of a trader's daily life, where every sunrise means another round of sweat, salt, and stubborn hope. A trader's day in the 13th century Mali Empire was no spa retreat. You're up before dawn, when the desert's still cool enough to breathe without choking on heat. Your routine's a mix of survival and strategy. Check the camels, tighten the salt slab ropes, and ration water like it's liquid gold. Historical accounts from travelers like Ibn Battuta, who visited Mali in the 1350s, describe traders rising early to pray, then diving into tasks, feeding animals, scouting routes, and bartering at every stop. Your caravan covers maybe 15 miles a day, a pace that feels glacial but keeps the camels from collapsing. Here's the quirky bit. Some traders carried desert diaries, scraps of cloth or leather where they scratched tallies of trades or sketched landmarks with charcoal. You notice a guy in the caravan, squinting at a tattered cloth, muttering about his salt haul. You tease, "What? Writing your memoirs already?" He shrugs, saying it helps him track debts. Historians still argue whether these were early accounting tools or just personal quirks. Either way, you're tempted to start your own, maybe doodling a camel with Grumpy's sour face. Your day starts with prayer, a quiet moment facing east, the sand soft under your knees. Then it's chaos, camels spitting, ropes fraying, and Amadou, the caravan leader, yelling about loose knots. You're lugging water flasks, checking for leaks, and sneaking a sip when no one's looking. Breakfast is quick, millet porridge and dried dates, chewed while you repack salt slabs. You joke to a trader, "This porridge tastes like ambition," and he laughs, spitting crumbs. The food's bland, but it fuels you for the march ahead. By noon, the heat's a hammer, and you're trudging, turban low to shade your eyes. You're scanning for landmarks, a twisted tree, a rock like a sleeping dog, while keeping Grumpy the camel from wandering off. Lunch is a non event. More dates, maybe a cola nut for a caffeine kick. You're starting to understand the rhythm, the way each task ties to survival. Water's your obsession. You're down to half a flask, and the next oasis is tomorrow. You mutter, "If I spill this, I'm trading myself for a cactus." Afternoon's the worst. Heat shimmers twist the horizon, and your legs feel like overcooked noodles. You're daydreaming about Timbuktu, those beans clinking on scales, the griot's song weaving, or was it the merchant's? The caravan stops briefly, and you barter a few cola nuts for a strip of dried fish from another trader. Haggling's second nature now, but you're tired, your voice hoarse from dust. You try a griot-style rhyme. "Fish for nuts, a fair exchange, keep me strong on this desert range." And the trader groans, "Stick to trading, poet." As dusk falls, you camp near a rocky outcrop. You help unload, stacking salt slabs, your hands raw from ropes. Dinner's communal, millet cakes, and a shared pot of goat stew, spiced with something that almost tastes like home. Seku's kora hums, and you listen, sprawled on warm sand, as he sings of traders like you. The stars are out, sharp as pinpricks, and you're bone-tired but alive. This life, grit, deals, beans, and all, is carving you into something new, a trader who's not just surviving, but owning the Sahara's pulse. You're still trudging through the Sahara's endless dunes, sand caking your sandals like a bad DIY project. The caravan sways ahead, camels grumbling as if they're unionizing, and your gold pouch jingles, a hard-won trophy from your bean-weighing days. The sun's a furnace, turning your turban into a soggy dishcloth, but you're not just sweating, you're noticing something new. Women, sharp and savvy, running deals and shaping the Malay Empire's gold trade with the same grit as any man. Their presence is no footnote. It's a force, and you're about to see how they work. Women in the 13th century Mali Empire weren't just sidelines players, they were traders, brokers, and market queens who moved salt, gold, and influence. Historical accounts, like those from Arab travelers, mention women managing stalls in Timbuktu, haggling with merchants from across the Sahara. Some, especially from wealthy Songhai or Mandinka families, controlled trade networks, using their social clout to secure better deals. They weren't always out in the caravans, but their hands were on the scales, sometimes literally, ensuring gold flowed smoothly. You're starting to realize the market's pulse isn't just male bravado, it's a duet. Here's the quirky bit. Some women traders wore gold threaded veils, not just for style but as a flex, advertising their wealth while dodging dust. You spot one in the caravan, her veil glinting as she checks a salt slab. You quip, "Is that veil paying for my next trade?" She shoots you a look that says, "Keep dreaming," and you're half in awe, half schooled. Historians still argue whether these veils were purely status symbols or doubled as trade collateral, pawnable for quick cash in a pinch. You're at a market stop now, a smaller outpost than Timbuktu, and a woman named Aisata is running the show. Her stall's a hub, clay bowls of gold dust, stacks of cola nuts, and a bronze scale that's seen more deals than your entire caravan. She's weighing gold, dropping carob beans with a flick of her wrist, her movements sharp like a metronome. You're trading salt again, and she's sizing you up, her eyes catching every flinch. You set your slab down, hoping for a good haul, but she's already countering. "This salt's gritty, less dust, more weight." You try charm, grit's just extra flavor, but she's unmoved, and you're sweating harder than usual. The deal's intense. Isata's beans clink onto the scale, each tap a reminder of her skill. You're counting, wary of tricks, but she's fair, brutally so. You recall Timbuktu's merchants, their sly nudges, but Isata's different. No games, just precision. You joke, you weigh beans like you're writing poetry, and she smirks. Poetry pays better. The scale balances, and you get a solid pouch of gold. Not your best, but respectable. You're learning. Women like Isata aren't just in the market, they're the market, setting margins and standards. As you leave her stall, you notice other women, one bartering cloth, another tallying trades on a knotted cord, a kind of desert abacus. They're not loud like some male traders, but their deals stick, their voices cutting through the chaos. You overhear Isata advising a young trader, her tone firm but kind, passing down tricks you wish you'd learned sooner. It hits you, women aren't just surviving this trade, they're shaping its future, one bean, one deal at a time. The caravan's moving again, and you're replaying Isata's deal, those beans, that scale. Seku's Kora hums faintly from the camp ahead, and you wonder if he's singing about women like her, weaving their names into Mali's story. The desert's brutal, but you're tougher, inspired by Isata's hustle. Your gold pouch feels heavier, not just with dust, but with the weight. A lesson. Underestimate the women of Mali at your own risk. You're still slogging through the Sahara, sand wedged in your sandals like it's claiming squatters' rights. The caravan lumbers on, camels swaying like they're over this desert drama, and your gold pouch clinks, a quiet flex from your market wins. The sun's a merciless spotlight, frying your turban into a soggy mess, but now there's a new edge to the air, tension. Bandits, the Sahara's unwelcome guests, are out there, and you're learning fast that those carob beans and gold dust you've been hoarding are a magnet for trouble. Every shadow feels like a threat, and you're not sure if you're paranoid or just smart. Bandits were a real headache for Mali Empire traders in the 13th century. The Sahara's vastness was both a highway and a hideout, perfect for raiders who'd swoop in for gold, salt, or even camels. Historical accounts, like those from travelers passing through Mali, describe ambushes on caravans, with bandits targeting poorly guarded groups or stragglers. These weren't cartoonish villains twirling mustaches. They were often desperate nomads or rival traders, armed with spears and the element of surprise. Your caravan's size, maybe 50 camels strong, is your best defense, but it's no guarantee. Here's the quirky bit. Some traders carried decoy pouches, sacks filled with sand or cheap grains to toss at bandits while hiding the real gold. You notice a guy in the caravan, nervously patting a lumpy sack, and you quip, "What? Got a sandcastle starter kit?" He glares, but you're half tempted to make your own decoy, just in case. Historians still argue whether these decoys were common or just clever one offs by paranoid traders. Either way, you're keeping your gold pouch tucked tight. You're on high alert now, scanning the dunes for movement. Amadou, the caravan leader, rides up front, his eyes like a hawk's, pointing out bad spots, narrow passes or rocky outcrops where bandits love to lurk. He's been barking orders all morning. Tighten the formation, keep weapons handy. You've got a short dagger, more for show than slaughter, and you're hoping it stays decorative. The air's thick with dust and worry, and you're remembering Isada's cool headed deal making, wishing you could borrow her nerve. You mutter, "If I survive this, I'm buying her a fancy veil." Midday hits, and the heat's a beast, but you're too jittery to care. A trader nearby swears he saw a figure on a distant ridge, and now everyone's whispering, bandits? Mirages? You squint, seeing nothing but shimmering air, but your heart's doing a drum solo. Amadou calls a halt to regroup, and you check your camels, ensuring Grumpy's load is secure. You joke, "If bandits come, I'm blaming you, Grumpy," but your laugh's shaky. Sekou, the griot, strums his kora softly, maybe to calm the group, but his song's about a trader outwitting raiders, which feels like tempting fate. The caravan moves again, slower, everyone clutching spears or sticks. You're picturing Timbuktu's safe, chaotic markets, those beans clinking on scales, and it grounds you. But then, movement. A dust cloud to the west, small but closing fast. Amadou signals to circle the camels, and your stomach drops. It's just 3 riders, not a full gang, but they're armed, their faces wrapped in dark cloth. You grip your dagger, feeling like a kid in a grown-up fight. Amadou negotiates, offering a small salt slab to avoid bloodshed. The riders take it and vanish, leaving you shaky but alive. As dusk falls, you camp in a tight formation, no fire tonight. Sekou's kora is silent, but his earlier song lingers, a reminder of traders who faced worse. Your gold's safe for now, but the desert's taught you something. Every pouch, every bean-weighed deal comes with a risk. You lie on the warm sand, stars sharp above, and breathe. Bandits or not, you're still here, still trading, still part of Mali's dusty golden story. You're still weaving through the Sahara's dunes, sand grinding under your sandals like a gritty metronome. The caravan's a tense, dusty chain, camels plodding with the enthusiasm of overworked interns, and your gold pouch, miraculously intact after that bandit scare, clinks faintly, tying you to those bean-weighed deals. The sun's a relentless torch, scorching your turban into a damp rag, but the near miss with those riders has you hyper alert. Now, as night approaches, you're learning a new trick, navigating by stars, a skill that's keeping your caravan on track to the next oasis and away from trouble. Star navigation was a lifeline for Mali Empire traders in the 13th century. The Sahara's featureless expanse offered few landmarks, so traders relied on the night sky, using constellations like a celestial GPS. Experienced guides, us like your caravan leader Amadou, could read stars like the North Star or Orion's Belt to plot routes between Timbuktu and oases hundreds of miles apart. This wasn't just practical, it was a point of pride, with navigators earning respect, rivaling griots for keeping caravans alive. You're starting to see why Amadou's gruff commands come with a quiet swagger. Here's the quirky bit. Some traders believed certain stars blessed their journey, offering luck if you whispered their names before setting out. You overhear a trader muttering to a bright star, calling it Fatima's lantern, and you quip, "What? Does it come with a warranty?" He shrugs, undeterred, claiming it saved his last caravan from a sandstorm. Historians still argue whether these star rituals were spiritual or just mnemonic tricks to memorize routes. Either way, you're tempted to try it, if only for the placebo effect. It's dusk now, the sky bruising purple, and Amadou's teaching you the basics. He points to a cluster of stars, the Pleiades, low on the horizon. Keep them to your left, and we hit the oasis by dawn, he growls, like it's obvious. You're squinting, trying to see what he sees, but it's like reading a map in a foreign language. You picture Timbuktu's markets, those carob beans clinking on scales, and it steadies you. Precision worked there, and it'll work here. You joke, if I get us lost, can I blame the camels? Amadou's scowl says no, but you're learning, tracing the star's arcs with your finger. The caravans stopped for the night, camped in a shallow valley to dodge the wind. No fire, thanks to bandit paranoia, so you're navigating by starlight alone. You're walking the perimeter, checking Grumpy's ropes, when Amadou calls you over. He's pointing at the North Star, steady as a lighthouse. Fix on that, and you'll always find north, he says. You nod, feeling a spark of confidence, like you're cracking a code older than Mali itself. You practice, aligning your body with the star, imagining the oasis ahead, water, shade, a chance to not feel like a human jerky strip. The stars are sharp, the desert silent except for camel grunts, and Sekou's faint kora, picking a soft tune. You're replaying yesterday's tension, those riders in the dust, and how Amadou's calm bartering saved your skin. Navigation's your shield now, a way to outsmart the desert's traps. You try whispering to Fatima's lantern, half joking, "Get me to that oasis, and I'll name a camel after you." The trader nearby chuckles, but you're serious about surviving. The Sahara's teaching you respect. One wrong turn, and you're a cautionary tale in Sekou's next song. As you settle on the warm sand, stars blazing above, you feel the caravan's rhythm, beans, gold, stars, all part of Mali's pulse. You're not just a trader, you're a navigator now, stitching your path across the sky. The oasis is close, and you're ready. Your gold pouch a quiet promise of more deals, more dunes, more nights under this endless guiding canopy. You're still trudging through the Sahara, sand a constant crunch under your fraying sandals. the caravan a dusty lifeline snaking toward the next trade stop. Your gold pouch jingles, a hard earned echo of those bean weighed deals, and the stars from last night's navigation lesson still burn in your mind. The sun's a brutal overseer, turning your turban into a sweat soaked rag, but you're past the oasis now, water flasks refilled, and you're noticing something new. Gold's not just currency here, it's woven into Molly's soul, from rituals to status, and you're starting to feel its weight beyond your pouch. Gold in the 13th century Mali Empire was more than a trade good, it was a cultural cornerstone. Beyond markets, gold adorned kings, sanctified ceremonies, and signaled power. Mansa Musa's 1324 pilgrimage, where he showered Mecca with so much gold it tanked local economies, wasn't just flexing, it was Mali's way of saying, we're the center of the world. Commoners used gold, too, in jewelry or woven threads to mark status or seal marriages. You're seeing it now. Gold's not just about wealth, it's Mali's heartbeat, tying your dusty deals to something sacred. Here's the quirky bit. Some Malians believed gold could carry blessings, so craftsmen melted it into amulets for protection. You spot a trader wearing a tiny gold pendant shaped like a crescent, and you quip, "What? Does that ward off bandits or bad deals?" He grins, saying it's for safe travels. Historians still argue whether these amulets were purely spiritual or doubled as emergency currency. Either way, you're half tempted to barter for one, if only for the vibe. You're at a village now, a cluster of mud brick homes near the caravan route, not as grand as Timbuktu, but alive with purpose. A wedding's happening, and you're invited to watch, a rare break from the grind. The bride's draped in cloth, threaded with gold, glinting in the sun, and you're struck by the care in every detail. Gold beads in her hair, a gold ring on her finger. It's not ostentatious, it's reverence, like the gold's sealing her vows. You recall Isata's market hustle, her veiled confidence, and see the same strength here, gold tying women to Molly's story as much as any trader. The ceremony's lively, with drumming and griot songs, Seku's cousins maybe, weaving the couple's names into verse. You're offered millet beer, warm and tangy, and you sip, joking, "This beats my usual sand-flavored water." Gold's everywhere, subtle but deliberate. A groom's dagger hilt, a dancer's anklet. You're learning. Gold's a language, speaking of lineage, loyalty, even love. Back in Timbuktu, you weighed gold with beans for profit. Here, it's weighed in meaning. Every grain a story. You wander the village, seeing gold's role beyond trade. A healer's hut displays a gold-tipped staff, said to channel ancestors' wisdom. You're skeptical, but intrigued, remembering that lucky bean trader and his polished carob seed. Gold's magic feels real here, not in a fairy tale way, but as a thread stitching Molly's people to their past. You think of your own pouch, earned through salt and sweat, and wonder if it carries a bit of that spirit too. As the caravan prepares to leave, you linger, watching the wedding feast spill into the night. Seku's kora hums from camp, and you realize his songs carry this too. Gold's glow, its rituals, its weight in Molly's heart. The desert looms, but you're richer now, not just in dust, but in understanding. Your beans, your trades, your starlit paths, they're all part of this golden tapestry, and you're walking it, one sandy step at a time. You're still slogging through the Sahara, sand a gritty passenger in your battered sandals, the caravan a dusty ribbon fading into the horizon. Your gold pouch, heavy with bean-weighed dust, clinks softly, tying you to markets and that village wedding's golden glow. The sun's a fading tyrant dipping low, but your turban's still a damp disaster. The oasis is behind you, and now you're seeing the end of an era, not yours, but the carob beans reign as Molly's weighing champs. New tools are creeping in, and you're catching glimpses of a trade world shifting under your feet. By the late 13th and early 14th centuries, Mali's trade system was evolving. Carob beans, those tiny heroes of your Timbuktu deals, were starting to lose ground to standardized metal weights, bronze or iron, cast in precise shapes like cubes or discs. These new weights, often imported from North African or Arab traders, promised consistency across markets, reducing disputes over light beans or shaky hands. Historical records, like those from Ibn Battuta's travels, hint at this shift, noting metal weights in bigger cities by the 1350s. Beans didn't vanish overnight, but their days as the go-to were numbered, especially in hubs like Timbuktu. Here's the quirky bit. Some traders clung to beans out of stubborn pride, claiming metal weights lacked soul. You overhear an old merchant in the caravan, fingering his carob pouch, muttering about cold iron ruining the art. You quip, "What? Afraid your beans will get jealous?" He scowls, but you get it. Beans were personal, tied to the rhythm of Mali's markets. Historians still argue whether this resistance was nostalgia or a practical distrust of foreign weights. Either way, you're glad you've got your beans for now. You're at a trading post, smaller than Timbuktu, but buzzing with new ideas. A merchant shows off a set of bronze weights, etched with Arabic numerals, gleaming like they're fresh from a mint. You're curious, so you try them, swapping a salt slab for gold. The process is faster, no counting beans, just stacking weights, but it feels sterile, like trading poetry for a spreadsheet. You place a cube on the scale, watch it balance, and get your gold dust. It's efficient, sure, but you miss the clink of beans, that hypnotic tap tap. You joke, "This scale's got no personality," and the merchant shrugs, saying it gets the job done. The change isn't just tools, it's people. New traders, some from Morocco or even Europe, are pushing for metal weights, arguing they're universal. You see their point. Beans vary slightly, and a bad batch can spark a fight. But you're loyal to the old ways, remembering Aisata's deft bean drops, Sekou's songs about bean weighing heroes. The caravans mixed. Older traders grumble, younger ones experiment with weights. You spot a kid, barely 20, stacking iron discs like he's playing dominoes, and you mutter, "Show off." Still, you're wondering if you'll have to adapt soon. The dessert doesn't care about your trade debates. You're marching again, dunes stretching like an endless scroll. Amadou, the caravan leader, sticks to beans, his scales a comforting constant. You check your gold pouch, earned through salt in those carob seeds, and feel a pang. Beans tied you to Mali's heart, its markets, its griots. Metal weights feel foreign, like they belong to someone else's story. Sekou's Kora hums from the camp ahead, and you imagine him singing about this shift, beans fading like a sunset. As night falls, you camp under stars that guided you days ago. The Sahara's teaching you nothing lasts, not beans, not markets, maybe not even Mali's golden age. You're part of it, though. Your trade's a verse in Sekou's endless song. For now, you'll weigh your gold the old way, beans clinking, holding the desert's pulse a little longer. You're still trudging through the Sahara, Sand a relentless guest in your tattered sandals, the caravan a fading thread across the dunes. Your gold pouch, heavy with dust weighed by those trusty carob beans, clinks softly, a quiet echo of Timbuktu's markets, Isata's sharp deals, and Seko's Kora songs. The sun's sinking, painting the sky in bruised purples, and your turban's a soggy relic of too many sweaty days. You're nearing the end of this journey, not just to the next oasis, but to the Mali Empire's trade legacy itself, its golden pulse dissolving into the desert's whispers. The Mali Empire's trade networks, so vibrant in the 13th century, began to wane by the late 1400s. New powers like the Songhai Empire rose, and European ships started bypassing the Sahara, pulling gold and salt to coastal ports. Timbuktu's markets, once the world's crossroads, grew quieter, and those carob beans, your market lifeline, faded as metal weights and coins took over. Historical records, like those from 16th century travelers, describe a Timbuktu still proud but past its peak, its wealth a memory etched in mud brick mosques. You're feeling it now, the weight of an era slipping away. Here's the quirky bit. Some traders, even as beans vanished, buried pouches of carob seeds in the desert, a nod to old ways or maybe a hope for luck. You spot an elder in the caravan, sprinkling a few beans into the sand, and you quip, planting a scale tree. He smiles, saying it's for the ancestors. Historians still argue whether these acts were ritual or just sentimental. Either way, you're tempted to toss a bean yourself, a tiny tribute to your journey. You're at a final trading post, a dusty speck of stalls and tents. The market's subdued, metal weights dominate, and you're one of the last using beans. You trade a salt slab dropping carob seeds on a scale for old time's sake. The merchant humors you, but his bronze weights are ready nearby. The clink of beans feels like a goodbye, each tap a note in Seku's fading song. You secure a small gold pouch, your last deal, and step away, the desert stretching endless before you. The caravan's winding down, camels grazing on sparse scrub, and you're reflecting. You've crossed dunes, dodged bandits, navigated by stars, and weighed gold with beans that tied you to Mali's heart. Aisata's market savvy, Amadou's starlit paths, the village wedding's golden glow, they're all part of you now. The Sahara's carved you, not just with sweat, but with stories, each trade a thread in a tapestry unraveling as new empires rise. You wonder if Seku's Kora will sing of you, a trader who walked the old ways, beans and all. As night falls, you camp one last time, the sand warm beneath you, stars sharp as ever. Seku's playing softly, his melody slow, weaving Mali's legacy into the dark. Your gold pouch rests against your chest, a heavy dream earned through grit. The desert's quiet, its whispers softer now, carrying tales of traders, markets, and beans to places you'll never see. You're part of that whisper, your steps a verse in the Sahara's endless lullaby. Wind down now, let's ease you into sleep, the desert fading like a gentle sigh. Picture the dunes, soft and still, their curves glowing under a crescent moon. The caravan's gone, its camels resting, their grumbles silenced by the night. Your gold pouch, warm in your hand, feels lighter, its dust a memory of markets and beans, of Isata's sharp eyes and Seku's Kora hum. The stars above, those guides you followed, twinkle slower, their light a velvet blanket draping the Sahara. You're sinking into the sand, warm and cradling, each grain a story whispering you to rest. The wind's a hush, brushing your cheek, carrying Mali's golden age into dreams. You're safe, you're calm, the desert's pulse slowing with your breath. Let the stars fade, let the dunes dissolve, and drift softly into sleep's quiet embrace.